Hello and welcome to this episode of the Optimistic Entrepreneur podcast. My name is John Colley. I'm your host and it's a pleasure to be with you today. In this episode, we're going to discuss the question, what is your business model? Now, it's important when you're looking at your own online business that actually you haven't just stumbled into it. You've actually designed it in a particular way, and that has got to be focused on making it as efficient as possible and as profitable as possible. So the challenge to you is, have you actually sat down and designed your model? What is your business model? How are you making money? You have to have some sort of thought behind this. So if you've optimized your resources and you're maximizing profits, that's great. But if not, how can we do this? Now, I'm going to look at a couple of essential frameworks first of all. The first of these is the product price pyramid, and then I'm going to talk about scalability, because both of these are very important when it comes to putting your business model out on paper so that you can work out exactly what you're going to do. Let's talk first about the product price pyramid. When you're putting a business together, it's important that you have a range of products and services on offer. You're not just a one-trick pony. Of course, they're going to be related in some way, but you need to offer a range to your customers. And one of the characteristics of this range of products and services is that you should have a range of prices from low to high. And one of the key factors in this, of course, is the more value you give to your customers, the more you should be charging for it. And that's pretty well common sense. And one of the biggest crimes that young entrepreneurs make is they underprice. And that's absolutely criminal, because you're leaving money on the table that you can never get back. So you have to think about this and start laying it out and organizing it. And of course, the more time you personally have to commit to a product or a service, the higher the price you must pay for it. And we'll talk about this in scalability as well. So what does your product price pyramid look like? Try saying that after a few drinks. You start obviously with free, and the idea here is to have something of relatively modest value, but interestingly enough, that it will convert your visitors to wherever you have visitors making contact with you, whether it's on your website or on your YouTube channel and Facebook, whatever it happens to be. You want to convert them into leads by basically getting them onto your email list and in exchange for something for free. And once you've got their email and you can start to engage with them, then you can look to convert them from leads into customers. And to do that, the easiest way is obviously to have something low price to offer them. Now, bear in mind one thing. If a lead continually takes free from you, they're almost certainly never going to pay you for anything. They're not the sort of lead you want. If you can get a lead across that customer threshold, even if they only pay you $1, in their mind, they've started to pay you money for your value. And that is something you can build on. And it's very important to get them across that threshold. As the pyramid goes up, of course, you can have higher and higher value products. You can have upsells, you can have cross sells, you can have repeat sells, so that you end up with repeat customers. And these can be medium and then high priced products and services. And you end up with a pyramid. Now, of course, the interesting thing about this is, although the price is going up at the top, if you play this game right, you'll make more of your profits from the products and services at the top than you will from the little bits at the bottom. And that's one of the major reasons that it's so important. So when you look at higher value products, you'll soon work out that they require less selling time and offer the potential for higher profits. Clearly, if you sell 10 high value items in a month, you may have to sell 100 or 1,000 low value items to get the same revenue. And it's very obvious at that point which is the easier sell. I discussed this at some length, you'll be pleased to know, in the sales closing course I did with Dr. Subayal, which is available at all good online stores. It's available at the obvious one, but I'm not going to try not to mention too many brand names. I'm not selling in this course. I'm trying to give you information. The issue of scalability is also critically important, and it needs to be built into all entrepreneur-led businesses. Why? Because the entrepreneur has very little bandwidth. There's so much we're all trying to do all the time that if you get sucked into huge amounts of client work, then you'll get into an impossible situation. I'll give you an example. On one of my Fiverr gigs, even today, I was approached by a prospective customer, and he wanted me to record something like 12,000 words for a purpose which we don't need to discuss. It's not relevant, but it was something that was important to him. But his budget for doing that was $60. Now, I charge $5 per 50 words. So I was basically looking to charge him somewhere in excess of about $1,200, and he wanted to pay me $60, so 5% of what I normally charge. It won't surprise you that I politely went back to him and pointed out that his optimistic rate was somewhat inappropriate and ineffective for me, didn't work for me at all, because I can't make money at that level. So I turned the business down. I gave him a few recommendations on how he might solve his own problem, but that was just trying to be helpful. Now, one of the key issues in scalability is not selling hours for dollars. Now, this is one of the reasons I love online courses so much. Once I've made them, I can pretty well forget about them, and then they start to generate recurring income. I do the Fiverr gigs because I love doing it. It's great fun to do, and you have all sorts of interesting projects, and it's actually quite remunerative. But it is limited in its scalability, and that's something I have to be aware of when I'm committing myself to the projects that I take on and turning down the ones that I turn down. So scalability comes with repeat sales, but has low incremental cost. Now, if you think about Microsoft, and I'm going to go back 30 years now, where Microsoft was first starting up, if you wanted to buy a piece of Microsoft software, you went to a shop and you bought a box which basically had nothing much more in it than a book and a CD. And it was hundreds of dollars, hundreds of pounds. But you then took it home, you plugged the CD into your computer, and it spun up and you could download the software. Of course, all this is now done online. What this means for Microsoft was in the early days, their cost of sale for an extra license was the cost of the packaging and the shipping and the manufacturing of this new box, which had to be then distributed and all the rest of it. Today, their cost of sale for an incremental license is practically zero, and that's called scalability. So once they've created their software, wham, they're selling thousands and millions of licenses, and the incremental cost of producing a new piece of software, another copy of it, is next to zero. Of course, they have to support and they have to continue to develop, but they would have had to do that in any case for whatever software they're developing. So if you're in a software business, that's great. If you're in a service business, that's obviously more difficult. But the more then you can standardize and the more that you can put things into a repeatable way so that you have models for doing particular tasks, the better. But scalability is a critical issue in a business, and you have to bake it into your business model. So when you're designing your business, you may be online or offline, but let's talk about offline businesses for the moment. Bricks and mortar business, real businesses in the real world, offering products and services. One of the models you can look at, which I discuss in my business strategy course, is Michael Porter's value chain model, which shows the various stages within a business from procurement to outbound logistics and after sales support of a product or service going all the way through the business, as well as the support around it. Now, this means that you can look at each step of the business. So you look at procurement, you look at the value add and the processing or the manufacturing or whatever it happens to be, the sales and marketing, all the supporting activities, things like HR, the outbound logistics and after sales. And you can look at it step by step and ask, what can you do to make your business more efficient and more profitable? And that's a really good step-by-step model that you can use to have a look at that. Now, if you go online into the digital entrepreneur world, you can still be offering products and services. Of course you can. I offer services on my Fiverr gigs. I offer products on my online courses. But you still want to build in scalability where you can, and you still want to generate passive income whenever you can. So you have to ask yourself, starting from ground zero, how can you offer value to your prospective customers? Well, I know I've got all my business experience. I've got all my investment banking experience. I know quite a lot about marketing. I've got an MBA. I know how to use stuff online, so I'm reasonably good with online marketing, online sales. I can produce videos and audio and all that sort of stuff. That's a lot that I can bring together to then turn into products and services to offer online. But the key thing here is to focus on what your customers want from you, not just how much money can you make. Because if you serve the customers, the money will follow. If you focus on the money, the customers will leave. And it's really important to have that perspective. So the question then is, what is your revenue model? How are you going to make money? Are you going to offer one-off sales of your products and services? Or maybe you're going to have sales through marketplaces, such as the online course marketplaces that my courses are on. Or are you going to put your products and services on platforms you control, so that you can sell them yourself? So it might be a Teachable or a Thinkific for online courses, or a Shopify store, whatever it is. So you have to think about how you're going to actually make money. And of course, part of that is thinking about how you can repurpose content to sell one piece of content in different ways to different audiences. So if you think about a simple example, I take one of my online courses, I write it up as an ebook, which I can then put on Amazon in the Kindle store, which I can then record as an audiobook and sell through Amazon's audio bookstore. That's one piece of intellectual property being sold 3 different ways. You can go further than this, of course. You can say, well, what about the freelancing world? What about doing gigs for people? What about Fiverr and Upwork? You should look at those, go and look at the sorts of things people are doing and ask yourself, is this something I can do? Is this something that can fit into my portfolio of products and services that I can earn money from? Of course, subscriptions are the holy grail. Even Amazon's trying to get you to subscribe for regularly bought products. And one of the things I'm trying to do is to turn my Teachable school into a membership area. So yes, you can buy my courses individually, but the better for me and the better for you is to pay a relatively modest amount of money to access all the courses every month. And with no ongoing contract, you can leave or you can come and go as you like. So, that is another way of thinking about your revenue model and how you're going to bring money in. And recurring revenue is a fantastic, fantastic model. And of course, there's affiliate sales. That is basically taking a commission for encouraging a lead to buy somebody else's product. And as long as you're being very upfront that you're being paid for the recommendation or whatever it is that you're doing, that's absolutely perfectly fine. It's not easy. Don't be kidded. Don't let anybody tell you that it is. But it's a quite useful little model. The next step on from that is measurement and recording of results. Now, this is absolutely critical, because not only do you have to produce financial numbers at the end of the year, you need to keep a close eye on your costs, and you need to work out what's working. And one of the things I'm a great believer in are KPIs, key performance indicators, which will help you track your growth and success. So you want to know how many units of something you're selling every month, and you want to know how many gigs you've done last month. What's the average sale per gig? Whatever the key performance indicator is that works for your business, you need to work it out and you need to be measuring it. So here are some thoughts on where you can start to build your online business. One of the best place, certainly an excellent place to go is either Amazon or eBay. So if you sell with Fulfill by Amazon, which is basically drop shipping, you find somebody who's wholesaling a product, you get it delivered to Amazon, somebody buys it, Amazon does all the fulfillment. eBay, you have to do a bit more of the packaging up yourself. But whether you source products from your own country or from abroad is entirely up to you. But sales through Amazon and eBay, it can be very lucrative. There's lots of people coming to those platforms to buy things. And if you position yourself in the right way with the right product, you can do very nicely. Of course, if you want to do the marketing yourself, you can set up your own store and sell it from there. Affiliate marketing, I've just touched on. Essentially, this is all about reviewing and promoting other products and services from people and taking a commission. Now, I think this is an interesting model, but it's a very difficult one to make a lot of money out of unless you have a very substantial audience who trust you. And without that large audience and without that high level of trust, you're going to get a few trickle sales and all the rest of it, but it's never going to amount to very much. So you have to make it a pretty central tenet of your policy. If you want to look at somebody who does this very, very well, go and look at Smart Passive Income and Pat Flynn, who manages to do all sorts of very interesting things. And he makes most of his money off affiliate commissions for various products and services he then recommends. It can, in my opinion, be a useful sideline, and it's nice incremental income when it comes in. Now, I've talked about ebooks and audiobooks, but again, this is a great business if you're prepared to put the work in. You can sell through Amazon and other platforms, but your books need to be well written and edited. And of course, your audiobooks will need to be recorded. And I've just recorded an 80,000 word book for a client on Fiverr, and I can assure you it's a lot of work, and you need to make that commitment. I do offer that as one of my Fiverr gigs, and it can be quite remunerative because I've got a lot of audio skills built up over the time making these courses and making podcasts and things. And if you can develop those skills, then there's nothing to stop you from starting up on Fiverr and doing this. If you're looking to create ebooks, you have to ask the question, are you going to do fiction or are you going to do non-fiction? Really, what's your niche? What are you interested in? What are you going to produce? To be successful with this, as with anything, you need to be consistent and you need to build a portfolio of content over time. Freelancing, I really enjoy freelancing. It has an element of freedom to it. The gigs can be quite good fun. You never quite know what's going to come in. I'm on Fiverr. I'm not on Upwork. Well, I think I have a presence on Upwork, but I don't really spend much time on it. It does take time to build your reputation. I suggest that you try to offer a range of related gigs so that people can find you relatively easily. And the challenge to you here is simply to ask yourself, what can you offer? High ticket selling is a particular skill in its own right, and this is really focused from my perspective. It would be on courses, but there's all sorts of high end products you can be selling, whether it's memberships or coaching or whatever it is. A good way to sell them is through webinars, but you do have to know how to close these sales in order to be effective. And of course, you can be doing this for third parties, or you can be offering your own products and services. Coaching, masterminds, community memberships, all these things where you are the guru, you are the center of the universe, and people come to you for their advice and come to learn from you. And this means building a community and charging people to be a member of that community. You can offer coaching help. You can run small mastermind groups. You can have an online community like Chris Ducker does with Upreneur. But you have to be consistently adding value and be present. And you should be focusing on your highest value skills here. So how can you combine these? Because one of the great strengths in all this is not trying to do just one thing, but trying to put together a little collection of products and services, which gives you a certain amount of resilience. If something isn't doing particularly well one month, then something else might do quite well instead. So I'm offering, just to illustrate, I offer my online courses through many marketplaces, including Udemy and Skillshare. I'm on probably about a dozen or 15 different marketplaces around the world. I offer my online courses through my membership site. I've got high-end courses on Thinkific, and I offer my gigs on Fiverr. But that's not where I stop. I also offer coaching and consulting when asked. I public speak at conference. That's great fun. Rarely do you get paid for it unless you're really well established, but it's a fantastic networking opportunity. As a little sideline, I sell some photographs on Fine Art America, which is great fun. And I've been decluttering that awful word, so I've managed to sell quite a lot of surplus stuff on eBay, but that means I've learned how to sell on eBay, and that's another useful skill. So all online businesses need online skills, and I touch on these in my digital business transformation framework. And the whole point about that framework is to look systematically, and I will be talking about this framework more in coming episodes, to look systematically about the sorts of skills you need to run an online business effectively and how they all hang together. But these include, and these are sort of the main headings from it, you need to have a clear business strategy. We're talking about business model and business design today. You need to really get to the bottom of that. You need to create your product or service. You need to make sure your channel, which is 1L, not 2, is being sold. Your products and services are being sold through the right channel and marketed to the places where your potential leads and customers are. You need to engage with those people and really bring them on and take them through a customer journey. To do that, you need some additional skills, which I touch upon. And of course, having tools and resources just makes life easier. So that's the overview of the business model. I hope you found that helpful and interesting. It's designed to make you think about your business. I'm not offering necessarily answers. I'm trying to open up Pandora's box and get you to think about what you might be able to do. Now, if you want to subscribe to the podcast and also get my ebook, which is a compendium of cheat sheets and checklists, it's called How I Made 112,211. I quite like the symmetry of that number. It's actually a real number from online courses, and you can too. If you send a blank email to john@bcast.email, not only will you get onto the email list for the podcast, so you'll be notified when new episodes come out, but you'll also get an email from me where you can go and download that ebook and get started making your own courses as well. So don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you happen to be listening, and please consider leaving a rating and review for the show as well. They're incredibly important, as I'm sure you appreciate. Well, where can you find the show? It's certainly going to be on Apple. I've applied for Apple today, and it's going to be on a host of other platforms. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll know that I'm also producing a video version, which you can find on the YouTube channel, and the links will be in the show notes. So contact me at any time, john@jbdcolley.com. Always like to hear from you. And if you've got any questions you want to ask me, then ask me, go ahead and ask them, and I'll try and do some Ask Me Anything sessions in the podcast as well. So that's it for episode 2. What is your business model? I hope I've given you plenty to think about. I hope you've enjoyed this particular episode, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.